Story title: The Miracle at Tham Luang, A Tale of Courage and Unity. Chapter 1: The Gathering Storm. The humid air of northern Thailand hung heavy over Mae Sai, a small town nestled against the mountainous border with Myanmar. It was late June, the height of the monsoon season, and the rains were already haunting the rolling green hills. For the local boys of the Wild Boars soccer team, though, the allure of adventure called louder than the threat of looming clouds. After practice on June 23rd, they decided to explore the cavernous wonders of the Tham Luang Nang Nan cave system. With their coach, Ekapol Chantawong, leading the way, 12 boys aged 11 to 16 entered the labyrinth of dark tunnels, unaware of the extraordinary trial that lay ahead. The team's laughter echoed off limestone walls, growing more distant as they delved deeper into the cave. The transition from light to darkness was gradual but complete. Illumination came only from their flashlights, casting long, flickering shadows that danced teasingly across the wet stone. They had explored the cave before. It was a local rite of passage. Yet today, as the rain began to fall heavier outside, water from the hills above began to cascade into the cave, swiftly and silently blocking their path back. The waters rose with alarming speed, fed by the unyielding monsoon rains. Coach Ek, as the boys affectionately called their leader, urged calmness, guiding the team to higher ground within the cavern. They retreated further inside, seeking safety, their path illuminated only by the narrowing beams of their flashlights. It was a desperate strategy, but their only hope of avoiding the advancing floodwaters. Unbeknownst to the boys and their coach, outside the cave, their bicycles were left unattended as evening approached. Parents who came to collect their sons found only the abandoned bikes, and panic replaced curiosity in their hearts. As dusk gave way to the enveloping darkness of night, the realization settled over the families with a crushing weight. Their children were trapped, hidden somewhere deep in the Tham Luang cave. With grave urgency, local authorities were informed, and a search effort was quickly organized. Police and rescue workers converged on the scene, their vehicles casting long beams of light that crisscrossed the landscape. The rains, relentless and pounding, made progress slow and perilous. Communication was patchy, hampered by the thick forest and jagged topography. Parents lingered at the edge of the cave, fueled by hope and worry. Mothers pressed their hands together in prayer, their lips forming repetitive murmurs as they sought guidance from the spirits of the mountains. This land was filled with legends and mysteries, and the people believed in the protective power of its ancient guardians. Each whispered prayer was an invocation that their children would be found safe. The night was long, stretching into morning as the search continued. Inside, the boys clung to one another for warmth, huddling on higher ground. They shared stories and laughter to fend off the creeping shadow of fear. Coach Ek, sitting among them, exuded calm, a testament to his meditation practices and hard-earned resilience. Yet deep within, he too harbored an unease for each life now in his hands. Story outside, the search intensified. The narrative of a local event began to ripple outwards. News of the missing soccer team spread through Thailand and then across borders, capturing global attention. The stage was set for an epic tale of survival and rescue, a race against nature and time. Yet amid this growing media spectacle, the families continued their vigil, eyes fixed on the cave entrance, hearts tethered by hope. As the first few days passed, the rescue teams faced the reality of their challenge. The Tham Luang Nang Nan cave was vast and treacherous, its twists and turns unfamiliar and fraught with danger. Efforts to locate the boys yielded no results initially. Instead, they revealed the cave's uncompromising nature. Thrust into darkness, the world watched, waiting for a flicker of hope in a race against the elements. And yet, even as solutions seemed elusive, the human spirit, undeterred and united, began to rise, sparking an incredible international effort that would soon defy the boundaries of possibility. Chapter 2: A Global Call to Arms. As the days dragged on with no sign of the boys and their coach, a sense of urgency gripped the world. News outlets detailed the plight of the trapped team, and the haunting photograph of the boys, bicycles parked innocently at the cave entrance, struck a chord with audiences everywhere. This was not just a local tragedy in a remote corner of Thailand. It was a human story that demanded a collective response of compassion and expertise. Soon, assistance poured in from across the globe. The Royal Thai Navy SEALs took the lead, swiftly assembling a team of skilled divers and logistics experts. With them came a wave of international aid, led by elite cave divers who had seen the world's darkest and most daunting underwater systems. From the United Kingdom arrived Rick Stanton and John Volanthen, renowned for their expertise in complex rescue operations. Their presence injected a newfound hope into the mission. They knew the cave's dangers well: narrow passageways, zero visibility, and water temperatures that sapped energy and spirit. Yet, like many who converged on the site, the thought of scared and hungry children spurred an unwavering resolve. Volunteers from Australia, China, Japan, the United States, and other nations supplemented the effort, each bringing unique skills and perspectives. Engineers devised robust water pumping strategies, hoping to halt or reverse the rising waters. Meanwhile, medical professionals prepared for every conceivable scenario, from hypothermia to underwater sedation if the boys were found alive. Among those arriving was Dr. Richard Harris, an Australian anesthetist and cave diver. His calm demeanor belied a reservoir of courage and ingenuity that would soon become crucial to the operation. The stakes were high, but with each new addition, the chorus of aid swelled in strength and diversity. Story camped on the fringes of the cave complex was a gathering of journalists, experts, and family members, each clinging to updates that often seemed speculative or dire. Yet amid the chaos, communities from near and far worked together seamlessly, transcending language and culture in a shared mission of salvation. Every morning, the families would gather at the makeshift camp, faces etched with anxiety yet holding hope in a smile or a clasped hand. Local volunteers provided sustenance and support to those in despair, opening their kitchens and hearts to fuel the rescue teams and waiting families with meals, warmth, and an unyielding belief in a successful outcome. That belief was abetted by the spiritual resonance of the land. Many locals saw the cave as being inhabited by the spirit of Princess Nang Non, a figure steeped in legend and tragedy. Prayers were offered at shrines, accompanied by offerings of incense and flowers, invoking her protection and guidance. The intersection of spiritual conviction with a tireless human effort created a palpable tapestry of faith and endurance. Inside the cave, Stanton and Volanthen embarked on their first dives into the perilous labyrinth, confronting currents that threatened to shatter their resolve. Each submerged, mission exposed them to claustrophobic tunnels and torturous distances. Yet their expertise shone through. They meticulously mapped out a path within the wet darkness, inching ever closer to where they hoped the boys awaited. On July 2nd, 9 treacherous days since the boys had gone missing, their lights broke through an air pocket. In the dim glow, they saw shadows dancing against the rocky backdrop, a dozen silhouettes accompanied by a lone adult shepherd. There was relief and disbelief. The impossible had just become real. As they approached, the boys' surprised yet hopeful faces came into focus. Stanton and Volanthen greeted them with the words that would resonate around the world: "How many of you?" Confirming they were all alive was just the beginning. It was a challenge to get them out, one exponentially greater than even locating them. Having made contact, Volanthen and Stanton promised return with supplies and rescuers, their words weaving a binding thread of trust. The boys, tired yet not defeated, displayed resilience that had endured over days of darkness, with Coach Eck providing mentoring and meditation to maintain calm. The news of their contact was met with jubilation and applause the world over. To the families, it rekindled a flame of hope that had flickered in strength and doubt. Yet for the rescuers and volunteers, who were scattering plans across dining halls and sleeping bags, the hardest part loomed ahead like an unyielding mountain. United in purpose and galvanized by courage, the global team began devising the unprecedented task of extracting the boys and their coach from the cave's grasp, a mission of unprecedented risk and precision. There was no choice to falter, for failure was not an option in this tale of humanity. Chapter 3: Trial of Elements Story. The jubilation of locating the boys quickly pivoted to the grueling logistics of the extraction. Messages and video footage from the British divers illuminated the pressing challenges. Oxygen was running low and the floodwaters were merciless. The rescue team was against the clock, with monsoon rains threatening to heighten their perils. Inside the cave, the boys and Kochek received their first supplies of food and light, reassurance delivered alongside practicality. The reality of survival till now was miraculous, yet adapting to this new phase of uncertainty demanded endurance. Back at the camp, the gathering of experts and rescuers turned into a war room of strategy. Maps were sprawled over tables, weighed down by flashlights, radios, and sets of coordinates. Voices intermingled, punctuated by exchanges in multiple languages, as the international coalition of rescuers pooled their knowledge and experience. Each plan proposed seemed fraught with risks that held grave consequences, yet determination drove creativity and innovation. The option to let the floodwaters recede naturally was quickly dismissed. The rains showed no sign of relent. Pumping out water was underway, but yielded nominal results against the deluge. As different strategies were debated, the consensus shifted towards the most daunting choice: a highly technical dive rescue through perilous conditions. This decision demanded every ounce of expertise from the team. A command center was established within Muang Chiang Rai, dubbed Operation Base, where visual simulations played across screens and plans for extraction evolved detail by painstaking detail. The task ahead required not just precision in diving, but also the courage to transport each boy through submerged chambers so tight they barely allowed the passage of a single diver. They must teach them to navigate these alien environments while unconscious, sedated for their safety due to the terrifying nature of the journey. Dr. Richard Harris, unassuming yet central to the mission, was chosen to administer anesthesia to the boys, transitioning them gently into this surreal state floating between conscious and oblivion. It was a decision steeped in professional ethics and personal courage, with the risks never far from mind. As days stretched into nights, the collective adrenaline at the site ebbed and flowed, spurred on by unwavering familial hope and international expectations. The idea that these children were the world's children took root strongly, sweeping up communities in distant places, who organized vigils, marches of solidarity, and prayers that merged time zones and cultural divides. Financial support for the operation poured in from individual donations, corporations, and governments alike, while goodwill offerings arrived daily at the camp. Food, equipment, and heartening messages carried across terrain and waters, symbols of unity that underscored the faith tied to a successful rescue. The Operation Command Team, led by Chiang Rai's provincial governor, Narongsak Osatanakorn, balanced leadership with empathy, establishing safety protocols while lending an ear to the family's concerns. His steady presence and optimism carried a weight equal to that of any logistical tool, fortifying the human spirit so clearly palpable in those stationed at the site. Story. As the extraction plan solidified, the divers practiced repeatedly under simulated conditions, their movements choreographed to unprecedented precision. Returning each boy to the surface required a seam of skills woven between assurance and rapid adaptation to any arising risk. Finally, on July 8th, the clock heralded the beginning of what would become an operation memorialized by heroics. Teams of divers, arranged in waves, began methodically navigating into the cold chambers of Tham Luang, each mission a testament to the limits of human endeavor. As the first brave boy was led safely out of the flooded passages and guided into awaiting arms, a collective sigh of relief echoed through the camp. It marked a pivotal moment, yet the mission was far from over. One by one, like beads drawn from the earth's depths, the boys emerged, fragile yet breathing life anew. Perseverance, timing, and divine fortune converged to see all 12 boys and Kochek reach safety over the course of 3 days. Each rescue a testament to human solidarity, transcending boundaries of nation and creed. Parents embraced their sons, clinicians hovered close, assessing every sign, every heartbeat. Each smile that followed promised the world that miracles were still possible. Each recovery a handshake extended between spirit and humanity. With the boys reunited with their families and faced with the road to recovery, the story seeded hope across continents. It displayed a cultural resilience and a spiritual strength that bridged distances, weaving together ideals of unity, innovation, and the powerful instinct of survival. Chapter 4: Reflections and Reverberations. In the weeks and months that followed the triumphant rescue, the Tham Luang cave returned to its quiet solemnity, watched over by the spirit of Princess Nang Nan. Yet the tales told by its churning rivers and echoing chambers would reach far and wide, proof of an incredible chapter in human history. For many of the rescue team and volunteers, returning to normalcy offered bittersweet satisfaction. Their lives, though they resumed ordinary rhythms, were enriched by the bonds forged in darkness, underlined with purpose that far outreached the calls of duty. The Thai people embraced the reflections of their land's spiritual legacy, certain the guardians within the mountains had played their part in safeguarding their children. Ceremonial thanksgivings filled the air with music and community, their celebration of life echoing an anthem of courage, at once jubilant and humbling. New handling their fame and the scrutiny from the world outside proved an unexpected aspect of their journey for the boys and their coach. Offers for scholarships and goodwill poured in from countless nations, along with invitations to share their story as a beacon for resilience and hope. Story for Coach Ek. Meditation had long been his sanctuary, a refuge that had guided both him and his young charges through the most harrowing days of their lives. Now, it became a bridge for understanding and healing, both for the team and the wider world, fascinated by their story. As he reflected in the serenity of his mountainous home, Ek saw his purpose with newfound clarity, not that of a simple football coach, but as a guide helping others to navigate the ebbs and flows of life's trials. The boys, now local heroes, returned to their communities and schools, cheered by throngs who had followed their plight with held breath. They displayed a maturity beyond their years, lessons of unity and perseverance etched into their young hearts. Despite the fame, beneath their smiles lay the innocence of youth, touched irrevocably by an experience that defied their childhood boundaries. The camaraderie and insights gained from the multinational rescue team also left an enduring legacy. Countries that had been distant, linked only by geopolitical and economic interests, now shared an unshakable human bond born from this feat of endurance and grace. Governments and organizations pledged further cooperation in disaster management, highlighting the Tham Luang rescue as a blueprint for what humanity could achieve when differences were set aside and aspirations unified. As summer turned to fall, the monsoons receding to reveal the full majesty of the mountains, the Tham Luang cave stood as a reminder of nature's dual nature, as treacherous as it was awe-inspiring. Tourists came to witness the scene of the miraculous rescue, to walk paths the brave had charted through darkness, each visitor reverencing the story held in the silence of the cavern. Books were penned, documentaries filmed, and tales spun from the events. However, true understanding lay not just in the retelling of what happened, but in how the episode illuminated the boundless reserve of human compassion and capability. In a small school in Mae Sai, laughter filled the air as the boys of the Wild Boars soccer team dribbled joyously across the field, the ball moving seamlessly between them, their movements a testament to teamwork and friendship. Each time the ball found the back of the net, it was more than just a score. It was an emblem of their collective triumph over adversity. Their story was captured not only in headlines and pictures, but within the annals of a shared human consciousness, reawakening the imagination of a world once defined by separation. At the heart of Tham Luang's tale stands a universal truth, whispered gently across divides that seem vast, but are bridged by shared dreams and common resolve. It was the kind of tale that would continue to inspire generations to come, a reminder of heroes clad not in capes but in courage. Indeed, the miracle at Tham Luang had become a parable for unity, an eternal testament to the unyielding power of the human spirit bathed in the light of hope and perseverance. With every retelling, every nod of acknowledgement, a promise is renewed, that when nature's trials arise, they are met not with despair, but with a global hand extended in mastery and compassion, enchanted by the enduring miracle of life.